evening, everybody. Welcome back to another video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by to another body language discussion and a look at pulling apart some of the inferences that we can get from the certain display patterns that we see in others and the more colourful characters that we get to come across doing this type of thing. So if this is your first time to the channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Ben Cardall, and I am the author of the best-selling book The Monographs, which details the real-world methods for the skill set of Sherlock Holmes, how to apply them, how to train them, how to develop them within yourself so that you can use them for the protection of yourself and those around you. And I now spend my days teaching people from all over the world in all walks of life how to do the exact same thing. So if that sounds like something that would interest you at all, then do feel free to drop a verifiable subscription click at the bottom. And if it doesn't, why are you even here? Go spend your time in a more constructive manner. So today we have just a single clip from the case of Jodi Arias and the fairly heinous murder of her partner Travis at this time. This case has gone on for years. I've been aware of it for quite some time before I was sent this video. So yeah, there's a number of different collections of information about her wandering around. So for what we see, particularly because it bears particular harm to the behavioural science community when these are done in the incorrect manner. In the sense that, you know, it is possible to look at a twitch of this and understand this, which it ain't. There's no real world applications that will benefit you as directly as those kind of details would have it seem. And ultimately, there's no pause in real life. There's no rewind. There's no slow motion. So with all of these details that we have to examine here, it's done with this single piece of context in mind and nothing more. Right? If we're going over the pause and rewind and all of those kind of functions, each to illustrate the observations that we've made, so that we can understand the information about them a little more critically. Okay. If her case is one that particularly interests you, from a you know, how deeply twisted somebody can be, which, you know, everyone's got their own interests within this particular field in mind, then I highly recommend that you check out the podcast from the guys at the last podcast on the left. It's a great study, and they share a similarly dark sense of humour to my own. But yeah, with that in mind, let's take a little look-see at what's going on here. Oops. I mean, that photo, first of all, is wow. Talk about a gestural emblem. Now, this is where we can start to look at photos again, like I mentioned in a podcast, the work of Robert Akert, excuse me, and the like, and the transition of change between this. We know that he was very outgoing, very amiable as a character, as a public speaker, and the like. So to display that degree of discomfort, you know, if you look at the way the cheeks have been pulled tight as opposed to up, there's the attempted display patterns at something positive here, with her hands, you know, almost quite literally around his neck. There's clearly, I mean, it may have been chosen specifically for the broadcast itself, but as an illustration into their dynamic already, it's already easy to see the difficulties between the two of them in their relationship.
Murder of her ex-boyfriend.
I know that I'm innocent. God knows I'm innocent. Travis knows I'm innocent.
She's talking about Travis out.
I know that I'm innocent. God knows that I'm innocent. Travis knows that I'm innocent. Way to put apart, you know, a verifiable list of people that can really do you a solid character reference there. Yourself, the guy you killed, and somebody that exists only because you believe in him. Right? Not a religious knock. You know, that's that kind of dynamic from an outsider's perspective. There's no way of verifying what God has to say about you in this particular area, right? But what I liked about those displays, and it's only a minute kind of detail, like really, really small, what Riggs and Murtaugh would refer to as being thin, is that she looks away. I know I'm innocent. God knows I'm innocent. Travis knows I'm innocent. Looks away again. The only thing that she makes a humanitarian connection on is that God, knowing that he believes that God knows that she's innocent. When the two humans in this factor, one is dead, one is at this stage, I believe, to alleged have killed the other, shows you exactly where the depression of tension would go, right? When I'm feeling particularly uncomfortable about something that I have to say in a particular moment, I might catch a glance away to try and gain some kind of indirection there. If I'm looking at saying something completely, you know, that I don't have entire faith in or might upset you, I might do it from here so as not to appear as connected to you. Whereas the one that she chooses or unconsciously chooses to make a connection on is that God element. It's just a for instance. It's very thin, but these are the types of things that will all add up. By itself, it's a misnomer, but should there be any more, it's nice to have that to point us in a direction moving forwards.
Alexander, a popular motivational speaker she dated for 5 months. The steamy affair with Jodi Arias came to an end last year when she says she discovered he was cheating.
It wasn't very pretty. Breakups are never easy, but that sort of signified the end of our relationship.
Last June, Travis was brutally murdered. Travis Alexander was found dead in his shower here at his luxury home in Mesa, Arizona. He was shot in the face, stabbed 27 times, and his throat was slit from ear to ear. Police found a camera here at the crime scene. On it, provocative naked photographs of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander, taken the day he was viciously murdered. Another photograph shows Travis seriously wounded and bleeding. Prosecutors say 28-year-old Jodi went to her former boyfriend's home for a final tryst, took the provocative photographs, then murdered.
Look at that. There's the change in smile there. You can see the action of the muscles being pulled back in a way that they're directed to do so. Whereas that first one before wasn't done in the same way. So he's going to be the type of guy that isn't that kind of, you know, animation, expression and the like. It's very understated. Doesn't make him any less likable or more likable because of that. Just means that's how he does it, you know. And you can look at the realms of there's no residue of emotional displays on his face from overuse in this area, so he'll be quite understated as a character, and this is how he'll display different levels of comfort. Interesting that the teeth are never seen in the ones that we've seen so far, which we're not going to go through his photo collection, of course. But clearly we've got someone here from Jodi who's not camera shy in the slightest, very capable of trying to put on a show in terms of her beauty in this area, right? There was much said about the fact that she is this beautiful woman. How can she have such a dark soul? The two aren't related at all. Like, you know, speaking objectively, I don't find her attractive at all. And that's as objective as I can be, knowing what she's done in this area. But from her character, her pathology, trying to use her looks and the way she feels about how she looks to accomplish certain things, makes her very praying mantis-esque.
They even have Jodi's palm print in his blood.
Did you kill Travis Alexander?
I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. And the thing that I'm noticing more and more over here is those 3 or 4 moments that the clip has allowed her to speak. It's been at the same tone, the same pitch. She could, like she was talking about the breakup, and it wasn't being very pretty. She could just as easily be talking about what she made for tea the night before. You know, I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. We broke up. It wasn't a very nice thing. I had chicken and potatoes last night for tea. I drove to this place in my car. It's all done with that same kind of emotive input in this particular moment. The rationale would be to try and gain some compassion from somebody else, right? To try and gain some understanding. If you're trying to put across that you are hard done to, that you're in jail wrongly, that you're being convicted of something that you haven't done, you need to display that with every part of you. Now, the argument could be made that if you're asked the same question about the same thing in the same way, about the same detail and the same story, that you could get sick of telling it. But when you look at the stakes of a situation that drive our behavioural displays in terms of discomfort, of anxiety, of fear, that one would expect of going to jail for however many life sentences with the possibility of the death penalty on the table, they would drive these patterns to never slip. If anything, they would grow more and more. Right?
I had nothing to do with his murder. I didn't harm him in any way.
I met Jodi.
I didn't harm him. I didn't harm him in any way. I absolutely did not kill Travis. I didn't harm him in any way. The change in contractions and non-contractions, something that Mr. Clinton showed us eloquently how not to do when he lied to the general public in that infamous scene. But then there was a number of other incongruencies with everything else that was going on. It was more easily observable because he was a lot more animated in his displays. He has a bigger emotional palette to deal with. You know, when you're dealing with a sociopath of this nature, a side note when it comes to the sociopath-psychopath argument, that's like, all thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs. They're branches of the same tree. In this particular area, so there's no emotional understanding, there's no emotional awareness that she has of how she's coming across, of how this other person is receiving her, that guides conversation to go one way or the other in terms of the desired outcome, which most opaths, whether that be sociopaths or psychopaths, would have the planning and the foresight to do in this particular area. They would cope well under stress and pressure, of course. But when you're looking at emotional understanding, in terms of thinking that if I make this display, it will make this person think or feel or react in this way, that's sometimes more difficult and more challenging for them to do, because they don't have that understanding of what motivates somebody to do this, right? Because they can't feel it, they don't understand it.
Jodi Arias for a jailhouse interview, her hair now light brown, and she dropped a bombshell, describing for the first time what she says happened the day of the murder.
I witnessed Travis being attacked by 2 other individuals.
Who?
I don't know who they were. I couldn't pick them out in a police lineup.
So smart. In terms of the way questions would be directed, if there was any kind of believable notion about the story or some kind of detail that led to a lead, that led to this, to follow and chase up, she's immediately quashed that from the beginning. I couldn't pick them out of a police lineup, right? So that's showing a degree of planning and foresight in terms of the story that you're about to tell, and with it being offered without provocation. That's the thing. And just to mention as well, from a side note, we need to be careful when doing these kinds of videos, knowing the outcome. We know that Jodi did this. We know it. So it's very easy for us to see every single little detail as being confirmation of the outcome. Okay, so everything that we're striking on here could be struck upon pre-outcome in the same way that would yield us the same level of information. It's very easy to ascribe these things like a twitch of the eyebrow that must mean this. That's the realms of confirmation bias. But again, same tone, same pitch, same delivery. There's no kind of intonation or colour or emotion that's driving any internal change. She's not feeling anything.
They came into his home and attacked us both.
She says a man and a woman wearing masks burst into the home and attacked both of them. Jodi claims she fled, but was too terrified to call the police.
I'm not proud that I just left my friend there to be slaughtered at the hands of 2 other people. I'm not proud of that at all.
You understand?
Like, listen to that. Don't go back if you want and listen to that again, but don't look at her. Where is any kind of a felt state there? There's no change in moisture in the throat. There's no change in pitch, tone, pace, delivery, volume. Nothing that would be affected by any kind of emotional intonation. There's nothing felt there. I'm not proud of this. I didn't kill him. He was my friend. I ate chicken and potatoes last night. I'm driving here. I took the dogs for a walk. I'm hungry. It could all be delivered in the exact same way.
You look guilty here.
I understand that all of the evidence against me right now is very compelling.
What really
It's a
happened
politician's
here?
response.
In a nutshell, 2 people took Travis's life. 2 monsters.
You did not shoot Travis.
No, I've never even shot a real gun.
You did not stab him
I've
27
never-
times.
Now that's poor on behalf of the journalist, because you're leading that outcome. You did not do this, you did not do this. Okay, so that'd make it very easy for her to latch on in terms of controlling the story to her desired ends. But he's adding in these types of detail to try and get some kind of a rise out of her. You did not stab him 27 times. Okay, that's why the delivery is designed towards that, to try and get some kind of a change within her. But he does himself a disservice by leading it with "you did not." Much easier to latch onto.
That's heinous.
Or
I've never.
slit his throat from ear to ear.
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat.
Jodi Arias.
See, again, I know people get pissed off when I do this, but I don't care, because I'm explaining to you how it goes. You didn't slit his throat from ear to ear. I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat. But of course you can. Anyone can. That's the difference. That's the difference between where you fall on the necessary affected psychological spectrums and not. Okay. If you look at Mr. Pop Culture for reference for everything over here, if you look at that scene in Law Abiding Citizen with Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler, when he's questioning them after Jamie Foxx is questioning just after he gets caught, and he says, "Yeah, I thought about doing it over and over. Yeah, did I want this guy dead? Yeah, of course I did. What father wouldn't?" He's not really saying anything. Same thing here, I understand that all of the evidence against me is very compelling. Sounds like you're acknowledging his point. Sounds like he's been heard, which still puts her on a rung higher in the hierarchy there in her head. Somebody that can potentially use her looks to try and influence outcomes. And I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat. Well, that's not true. It's an acquiescence. You're acknowledging the question without having to provide any background, any information, any detail, any personal references.
Is sticking to her story that 2 mystery killers murdered her former boyfriend, and she's convinced a jury will believe her.
No jury is going to convict me
Why not?
because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me. I am very sorry.
Which, if you didn't follow the case, she was convicted, but by a jury. But there you go. You get the accurate positioning of where someone who's experiencing, you know, these Machiavellian delights in terms of what they're capable of doing because they fly so high above other people, in their opinion, that their looks can affect things in certain ways, their performances can affect things in certain ways, and their ability to approach people can affect things in certain ways, right? Accurately showing that she doesn't function along with these engineered psychological outcomes.
For the enormous pain that I've caused the people that love Travis.
At her sentencing Monday, Jodi Arias apologized to the grieving family of Travis Alexander, the ex-boyfriend she was convicted of murdering.
I'm truly disgusted and I'm repulsed with myself. I'm horrified because of what I did, and I wish there was some way I could take it back.
Alexander's
Same
three
tone.
sisters also spoke.
Nothing
They
going on.
sobbed as they pleaded with the judge to show Arias no mercy.
I see the pain in our faces and the tears we've cried, and it never stops.
Then, as Arias stood before her in prison stripes, Judge Sherry Stevens pronounced the sentence.
The defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
So there it is. The long saga of Jodi Arias is over. She may have escaped the death.
She may have escaped the death penalty then. But yeah, even with sentence passed down, nothing. I'm very sorry for what I've done. I wish there was some way that I could take it back. Nothing going on. The poor sisters in there, they were genuinely experiencing something. And when you're genuinely experiencing something, even if it's minute changes, there are waivers. There's intonation change, there is colour, there is light, dark, highs, lows, tension, warmth, moisture that affects just the voice, let alone all of these other displays that can be seen within everywhere else in this particular area. So there you go, guys. There is just but a brief look at I'm trying to think of a more polite way to say batshit crazy, but I don't believe there is one. Individual. But more importantly, what we can look at here is how these types of individuals make connections in terms of their understanding of emotion. Right? You don't necessarily have to feel something as a person does to gain an understanding. That there can be compassion, there can be empathy in order to gain that from other people, because you can't vehemently say that I understand what you're going through, or I completely understand this, if you haven't experienced it. What you can say is that I get why you're feeling this, and I get why you're understanding this, and everything else that comes from that, right? That's the notion of connecting to these types of events. So I apologise about that. That was my that was my phone telling me that I'm due to start a lesson soon. So I will take that as my cue, and I shall bid you all adieu. If you enjoyed that, don't forget to subscribe to the video, give it a like and comment on it and all that crazy 21st century stuff. And I shall talk to you all soon, guys. Have a good one.